Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be taking a look around Christmas time as an Arctic boundary is going to come down from Canada and affect the Northeast. As this is happening, a storm will most likely track against that coastal front of the Arctic front. If we take a look at the GFS here, you can see that there's a northern part of energy in northern New York and a southern energy in down by North Carolina. These are trying to face together and try to make a storm for the Northeast, but these northern streams and the southern streams stay separate, causing the storms not to form anything. You have a clipper system coming down from the Midwest into the Northeast by Tuesday, but then again that is also weak. You have a storm system that will play a part into bringing down that Arctic air from Canada December 23rd. But as the models again start to disagree, this was 2 model runs ago. This is the model run now. This is about a 100-mile difference here and could mean a lot for parts of the Midwest. In this scenario that we have right now, when the storm is southern Minnesota, it has more snow for Wyoming, parts of South Dakota, North Dakota, and Minnesota, and parts of even into Nebraska. But now the run that we just had is all the way up into northeastern Minnesota. You still have snow for northwestern Minnesota and North Dakota, but it's not as much as it was in the previous runs. Now if we continue here, you can see that Arctic front starts to come down, and on the backside it's rain changing to snow. At least on this run of the GFS, it has the snow all the way down into northern Alabama and northern Georgia, because you have a low pressure system that is going to form on this boundary, and it's going to make a run up into the Northeast in that mannerly fashion. Now let's say the Arctic boundary sets up over here, and then the low pressure system makes a track like this. You'll most likely have more snow on the coast because you have more cold air being influenced with this system. As you can see by the GFS, the storm is going to form around this area. It may not pick it up on the GFS where the low pressure system is, but it's approximately right here. It takes a more offshore fashion. Well, actually, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. It takes this low pressure system right here in a more inland fashion. Now, let's say the low pressure system sets up right here and goes like this. Sorry about that little scribble, but then again, you would have more snow on the coast here. The next slide here, as you can see, there's pretty heavy snow for upstate New York by Albany, on the border pretty much of New York and Vermont here, and Connecticut and Massachusetts. But on the next side, you can see that the snow sphere expands eastward as the low pressure system moves northward, and on the backside you have more cold air coming down. If we take a look at the snow totals first in the Midwest here, you can see that the GFS wants to give the Midwest around 3 to 5 inches, pockets of 8 even in northern Minnesota. But if we go back 2 runs ago, you could see that it has more snow overall, but the totals are not as extreme for Minnesota. You still have that big stripe of 8 inches, but South Dakota actually gets more snow than North Dakota, at least on this run, which is quite surprising. But if you take a look in the Northeast here, you have your system come in, and by Ohio you could have 1 to 3 inches, pockets of 3 to 4, and then you have West Virginia in the 3 to 5 range, pockets of 6, and same thing for Kentucky, 2 to 4 inches, pockets of 5, and same thing for Tennessee. Now if you take a look into New York and the rest of the Northeast, you have a couple inches of snow, nothing too major after Winter Storm Gale. After seeing Binghamton get 40 inches of snow, it will be nothing like this. Now, if you take a look at the European, you have the storm in the Northeast making its way out of here. You have the clipper system coming down on Tuesday, could bring some rain snow showers down to the coast, but then again it won't be anything extreme. You can see with the latest European has a less bullish look for the Northeast here. The Midwest here. It doesn't have as much snow as the GFS, but it is a little bit more south. But then again, it has more snow for Iowa, Illinois, even into parts of Wisconsin here, and even parts of the central U.S. Now, if you take a look here, sorry about that little mistake. If you take a look here in the next slide, it's not as much snow on the backside because it wants to interpret less cold air in the backside, but it does have more snow overall for the south. Then again, you have the heavy snow on the backside of the system for the Ohio Valley and parts of West Virginia and western parts of PA. Now, if you take a look here in the Northeast, it doesn't have as much snow as the GFS, but it does have a little bit more lake effect snow for the Northeast. If you take a look at the winter storm totals here from this, you can see that it has a couple inches of snow, nothing too major. It does have that big swath of 4 or 5 inches in northern Minnesota, and it does have a couple inches in North Dakota. Now, if you take a look in the Northeast, Ohio could see 3 4 inches, same thing with Kentucky and West Virginia. The mountains could see a foot of snow, at least on this model run. If you take a look in central New York, you could have 3 pockets of 4 to 5 inches by Albany, just west of Albany. And then into Vermont, it doesn't have as much as the GFS because the GFS actually had 10 inches of snow in northern Vermont, while the European does only have 2. If you take a look at the map right now, this is what's going on in the Northeast. You have rain and snow on Long Island, all snow as you go north from that. In New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Boston's just about to get into the snow right now, and then as temperatures are in the low to mid 20s, at least in parts of New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. If you make your way westward, you can see that this is the Clipper system that's going to affect the Northeast Tuesday. Look at this temperature difference here. If you go into central North Dakota, you can see it's 31 degrees and snowing. But if you go about 50 miles westward, it's 39 degrees and raining. That's a big temperature difference, causing the rain and snow line to set up in between Bismarck and that area. Now, if you take a look at my snowfall map as of now, this is just no totals yet, but this is just to give you an idea what's going to happen here. Depending on the track of the storm, it could be mostly all snow for this part of the Midwest. And if you take a look in the east, this could, depending on the track again, could be rain changing the snow event. I hope you all had a great day, and stay tuned for more because models are most likely going to change various runs because it's getting closer and closer to the storm, but then again, this is 5 days out. Have a great day and enjoy football Sunday.